Good morning, everybody out there. This is Morgan Denny over in Portland, Oregon for PT on Ice. Happy Tuesday morning, everybody. Hope you're up bright and early like me, which apparently you are if you're listening right now. Today on this episode, basically the topic came up because of a question that was asked to me by one of our previous volunteers for Haiti, who's now in PT school. She called and asked, she called and said to me, I have a classmate who said that, that I don't think that PTs should actually have to address obesity. I don't think it's in our scope of care, scope of practice. And she needed some kind of fuel and fire to get her through that conversation. So instantly, a thousand things came to my mind. I was racing. I was like, so many ways that we need to address obesity, or that we have the ability to really help these patients. So I tried to kind of step back and figure out a way to sum up all my answers and kind of give it some well-roundedness. And what I think it came back to was thinking about, what is our goal in PT? Is our goal just to simply be a pain eraser for people, to fix one little problem and send them off? Or are we really part of a broader goal of this whole transforming society through movement and exercise and stuff like that? And so I really think if we are going to be these primary care providers and we have this goal of transforming society, then as healthcare providers, we really need to be able to promote healthy behaviors and healthy goals, right? And I think that if John Doe shows up to the clinic and his back hurts when he's playing golf, he's not going to care too much about his back if the next time he goes and swings the golf club, his arteries explode, right? So I think that we as PTs need to play this bigger role in health, and I think that that includes obesity. And I think that we not only can do this, I think it's actually our responsibility to. I think that when a person comes into your office and starts explaining to them, or they start explaining to you about their pain, certainly there are some underlying things. If my knee hurts and I come into a PT clinic and I'm overweight, your first comment is not going to be, hey, Morgan, you're obese, that's the cause of your pain. Obviously there's some OA or there's some ligamentous instability. There's lots of other issues that can cause this pain, but isn't it, as a doctor, our responsibility to step up and address all the pieces that could be adding to their pain? I think about it, and if I developed a disease and I went to the doctor, and that doctor actually withheld information about what caused that disease or the possible solutions to that disease, like that could be malpractice, right? But as PTs, when we see a patient and they're overweight or obese and they have pain in their body, is it not our job to address that as well if we know that their weight could be playing a role? So I really think that this is something that we need to step up in terms of the profession and be able to address. It seems pretty undeniable, right? People would argue that there's not that direct link, like the pain is associated with other things. Patients aren't coming to us to talk about like their weight. But would you deny that a person who comes to you with knee pain, who weighs 250, 300 pounds, like that's a lot of extra weight in joints, that added stress on the daily is obviously adding up and causing that person pain. And if you know that that's true and you withheld that information, like how is that any different than the doctor withholding information about a disease or about a thing that's happening that you knew could be fixable or changeable, right? To not address that, to me, seems really wrong. The other side of it is obesity causes an overall systemic inflammatory process to go on in your body when you're obese, if you're obese. And knowing that, and knowing that that can add to the crankiness of joints or the overall stiffness and just that feeling of being tired or fatigued, like, is it not our job as healthcare professionals to step up and kind of get into this realm? Now, I know that a lot of PTs are not super comfortable with talking about this, right? Like, this is a big problem in our country right now. Like, obesity is skyrocketing. There's something like 50% of people in this country who are obese, and I think it's 2/3 are considered obese or overweight with those technical numbers to go along with it. But this is something that I feel like we need to start addressing more and more as PTs, but we need to be able to provide resources, right? Like a lot of these patients know they're obese. Like no one is walking around who is overweight or obese and doesn't know it, right? We're not providing any gems of information in that category. But a lot of these people don't have the resources, like the direction, the impetus. They don't have anyone who's ever stood up and said, I think this is a problem and I'm ready to help you with it, or I'm ready to help you with it, but it doesn't have to be this one way. And I think that as PTs, one of our biggest things as PTs, I can't think of the great word right now. One of our biggest things is to be able to take a thing and modify it. When it's not working for someone day 1, we modify for day 2 or day 3. When that exercise that we gave them on the first visit isn't working or is causing more pain, we change it, right? We can accomplish the same goals with a different plan. And I think we need to be able to do that for helping people to lose weight as well. If the strategy we give them day 1 to, cut down on processed food and add more fresh things, if that's not working, then we need to go to a different strategy, right? And I think that's something that we need to get really good at. The other side of things is that a lot of our patients aren't going to want to change this, right? And it's not that every patient you have who is obese or overweight is going to be the new superstar and that you're going to win this battle every time, right? But you have to realize that it takes something like 5 or 6 times of a person hearing a new idea, that is adverse to theirs or opposite of what they already believe for them to actually begin to adopt that idea as their own. So you never know what part of that schematic you're in, right? Like you could be the first person to plant that seed to say that this person really needs to lose weight for their overall health or for their knee or back or whatever you're treating. Or you could be number 6. You could be that lucky person that gets to see that human make a big change and like really become a dramatically healthier person, right? But you never know. And I think that it is our responsibility to keep like planting that seed, because even if you're number 4 and you get to see nothing fancy, when that person gets to number 6, it's going to be somewhat faster if you've said something to that person first, right? And it's like, obviously you don't want to do this if the patient is standoffish or, is sort of in that realm of people that are uncomfortable at first. So maybe it's not visit 1, maybe it's visit 7, maybe it's visit 2. As long as that person is getting to know you and getting to trust you, they will allow you to like help them with this piece of their life. And I know that it goes unsaid that everything we do should be done with compassion without judgment, but that's a big piece too. If you're providing any sort of that judgment, that person will feel that. No one who is overweight in our country has walked around and not felt judged. So if you as a healthcare provider are, giving any sort of that feeling to the patient, like they're not going to respond to you. But anyone, any human in society that feels like you're really trying to help them in a consistent way without judging them and you're truly there for them, those are going to be the people that understand and come with you and like try some of the things you're suggesting. So I think that that's an important piece that we just need to keep in mind and not allow any of that background stuff to sneak in, because there's a lot of psychological stuff that can go with obesity as well. And you don't know what that person's been through. So you want to withhold anything and everything that is judgment. Like that is not our place. And if you put it out there, you're also not going to get the confidence of that patient. Another easy way to sort of slide that in and kind of get it into the normal treatment is like day 1, say something that seems really standard and offhand. Like I usually sandwich it. So if you're talking with a person and you haven't addressed their obesity yet, but you know that it's somewhere that your conversation needs to go, say something to the effect of, we're going to address your knee pain and just like in your goals, but I want you to know that my goal for you overall is to, when you graduate from here, you're going to have an overall balanced health program, you're going to understand how your diet affects your body, and we're going to make sure you know how to maintain that low back or whatever condition they're coming in for. That way, as the sessions go on, you can more easily redirect the conversation and it doesn't feel like some new thing you brought up, right? You're setting the stage. This is standard order of PT. This is something we do with everyone. And then when it happens and you start asking about diet, that can more easily lead into a conversation about weight loss or cardiovascular health or wherever you need the conversation to go. But you have to kind of like start it somewhere. And I think sometimes if you set the stage early on, it makes it a lot easier as a PT to dive in later and kind of already have that inroad where the patient knows that it's coming, right? So there are a lot of different ways that I think that we can really help these patients, right? Because we're consistently there, we can change the strategies, we can move with them. And I think you guys, like, this is a problem that is affecting our society in a big way. And as the number of people grow in the United States that are obese, like, we really need to be sure as healthcare professionals that we're there to help address it too, right? So this is a conversation that I not only think is important in our responsibility, it's one that we need to be getting better at. That said, the song of the day is I've Got My Health, performed by Bette Midler. So if you're watching the live version, be sure to check that out on the link. And otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.